This is Dallin from the Hardy Nutritional Science team, and today I'm going to give a little research update. So at the end of 2017, a landmark study was published in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry, entitled Vitamin Mineral Treatment Improves Aggression and Emotional Regulation in Children with ADHD, a fully blinded randomized placebo-controlled trial. The vitamin mineral treatment referred to in that title was Hardy Nutritionals Daily Essential Nutrients, which was given to children ages 7 to 13 years over the course of 10 weeks at 10 to 12 capsules per day, in comparison with a placebo, 10 to 12 capsules of nothing. And that, the conclusions from that study were as follows, and I quote the researchers: micronutrients improved overall function, reduced impairment, and improved in attention, emotional regulation, and aggression. So those were the three main improvements. The researchers further stated the low rate of adverse effects and the benefits reported across multiple areas of functioning indicate that micronutrients may be a favorable option for some children, particularly those with both ADHD and emotional dysregulation. So especially when both mood and behavioral symptoms are present, it appears from this study, and this is definitely true with our experience, that daily essential nutrients can help immensely. Now, that was published at the end of 2017, but the researchers gathered from as many participants as they could blood samples and fecal samples. This is commonly done in clinical trials, and the idea is that should significant positive clinical outcomes be found, such as was the case in this study, then the researchers can apply for funding to analyze the blood and the stools of the participants, and that might give clues as to how and why the treatment worked, some mechanistic clues. So the stool sample analysis was published in June of 2019 in a Nature journal titled Scientific Reports. And the researchers stated that we found that micronutrient treatment did not drive large-scale changes in composition or structure of the microbiome. So taking daily essential nutrients is not going to dramatically disrupt the bowel. And that was a main finding. However, there were differences, significant differences, between the stool samples of the kids that received daily essential nutrients and those that received placebo. And I'm going to talk about two of the largest differences that may help explain the beneficial clinical outcomes of daily essential nutrients in the study. So the first of these is that although the overall composition of the gut microbiome did not dramatically change, certain species, the relative population of certain species, population relative to the other species, was shifted. And in this case, bifidobacteria, so the bifidobacterium species, were reduced in relative abundance to the other species of the gut microbiome. And there are other published studies in the scientific literature that also correlate bifidobacteria populations with ADHD symptomatology. So this is consistent with other ADHD research that this would be a finding. It's somewhat expected. Now, the authors review that other literature somewhat, and they do say that currently it is not well known exactly how the bifido species affect ADHD symptomatology, and whether or not it's good to increase the bifido populations or decrease them. In this case, daily essential nutrients decrease the relative population of bifido species. The researchers conclude that more research is warranted to solve this question. It's clear that bifido species correlate with ADHD symptomatology. We're not exactly sure how. But the researchers state that these findings suggest, the findings from the analysis of these fecal samples, suggest that micronutrient administration could be used as a safe therapeutic method to modulate bifidobacterium abundance which could have potential implications for modulating and regulating ADHD behavior. So that's a little bit of a question mark. We know that it's a daily essential nutrients has affected something that's significant for ADHD symptoms. Obviously, for most participants in the trial, that was a positive thing because there were positive clinical outcomes to the trial. The other significant finding that I'd like to highlight is definitely known to be beneficial. At least we're more certain that it's a beneficial change. And I'll just quote what the finding was. It has to do with community richness and species diversity. So the results suggest, the researchers say, that micronutrient treatment may support a more diverse microbiome or aid in protecting against random fluctuations. So this whole concept of a more diverse microbiome, the children that received daily essential nutrients had a more diverse microbiome, greater diversity of species there present than the children that received placebo over 10 weeks. And it is fairly well accepted and well known in the scientific community in regards to the gut microbiome that greater diversity is better, generally better for human health. The idea is that the more diverse the microbiome is, the more variety is present, the more capable the human is to adapt and respond to changes and stresses in the environment. So the fact that the children taking daily essential nutrients had a more diverse and rich microbiome in terms of species means that they are more likely to be capable of adapting and responding to stresses and changes in their environment. So that's a really positive finding that is almost certainly beneficial, and definitely with the overall positive statistical outcomes, clinical outcomes from the original publication, that would be something that is expected and really exciting. It's really positive.